You won't believe your eyes! Willie Nelson just confronted Joy Behar, and the entire studio went into chaos. Every single reaction is priceless in this jaw-dropping moment. Stick around, because the story gets even crazier. The studio was glowing under rows of warm lights as the live broadcast rolled forward, each second ticking louder than the last. The audience sat alert, some smiling casually, others gripping the edges of their seats as cameras floated silently across the set. Joy Behar sat comfortably at the panel, her posture relaxed, her expression confident, unaware that the energy in the room was slowly beginning to shift. A producer whispered urgently into a headset off stage. The atmosphere subtly changed. Then, from the side of the set, Willie Nelson walked into view. The applause started soft, almost polite, but quickly grew into something heavier, full of admiration and surprise. Willie moved calmly, his presence unhurried, his expression thoughtful. He nodded once to the crowd, then took his seat under a spotlight that seemed just a bit brighter than the rest. Joy glanced toward him and smiled, offering a welcoming gesture. Willie returned the smile, but there was a pause. Just a fraction too long. The cameras caught it. The audience felt it. As the conversation began, the tone stayed friendly, yet something unspoken hovered between them. Their words were courteous, but their timing was slightly off, like two melodies playing in different keys. Willie leaned forward as Joy finished a sentence, then leaned back again, choosing silence instead of interruption. The audience murmured quietly, sensing tension without understanding why. A camera zoomed in on Willie's face as he inhaled slowly. Another cut to Joy, who tilted her head, curious but composed. The host attempted to steer the discussion forward, but the room resisted. Even the lights seemed to hold their breath. Finally, Willie spoke, not loudly, not sharply, but with a calm intensity that instantly shifted the room. The audience gasped softly, not because of what he said, but because of how sincerely he said it. Joy blinked, surprised, her expression softening as she listened closely. For a brief moment, words overlapped. A misunderstanding unfolded. Not hostile, just human. Timing missed, intent misread. The crowd reacted in waves, some leaning forward, others covering their mouths. Crew members exchanged glances behind the cameras. Joy responded carefully, her voice steady, acknowledging the moment rather than resisting it. Willie nodded, a small smile returning, tension easing like air escaping a tightened room. The audience erupted, not in shock, but in relief. Applause filled the studio, louder than before. The cameras pulled back, capturing two figures sharing a respectful moment under the lights. The energy transformed. What began as uncertainty ended in clarity. The show moved toward its closing seconds, but the moment lingered, cinematic, emotional, and unforgettable. And as the final applause echoed, one thing was clear. The audience had just witnessed a moment that felt real, powerful, and safely unforgettable. The applause slowly faded, but the tension didn't disappear. It transformed. The studio felt warmer now, heavier with emotion rather than uncertainty. Cameras adjusted angles, sensing that something meaningful was still unfolding. Willie Nelson rested his hands calmly on the table, eyes steady, while Joy Behar took a measured breath, clearly choosing her next words with care. For a brief second, neither spoke. The silence itself became the loudest sound in the room. Joy broke it gently, her tone reflective rather than reactive. She acknowledged the moment, not as a disagreement, but as a crossing of perspectives. Willie listened intently, nodding once, his expression thoughtful. The audience leaned in, aware that this was no longer about tension, but understanding. A producer signaled from offstage to move forward, but no one rushed. Even the host allowed the moment to breathe. Willie responded slowly, his words deliberate, emphasizing intention rather than conflict. His voice carried calm sincerity, and the room responded instantly. Soft murmurs, quiet nods, visible relief. Joy smiled, not defensively, but appreciatively. She clarified her earlier point, framing it differently, bridging the gap that had formed just moments earlier. The misunderstanding dissolved in real time, replaced by mutual recognition. The audience erupted again, this time with genuine applause. Not shock, not chaos, respect. Cameras swept across the crowd, capturing faces lit with emotion. Some smiled broadly, others wiped at their eyes. Crew members relaxed, shoulders dropping as tension fully released. Willie chuckled softly, easing the atmosphere even further. Joy laughed along, the sound natural and unforced. The host finally stepped in, remarking on how rare and refreshing such honest moments were on live television. As the show approached its closing seconds, the energy felt transformed. What began as uncertainty had become connection. The lights dimmed slightly, the music cue rolled in, and the audience rose to its feet. The final shot pulled back slowly, two figures sharing a respectful nod beneath studio lights, the applause echoing long after the camera stopped rolling. It wasn't a clash remembered for chaos. It was a moment remembered for humanity. The studio lights dimmed completely as the broadcast officially ended, but the energy in the room refused to settle. Applause lingered, echoing against the walls even after the cameras powered down. Some audience members remained standing, exchanging looks that said they knew they had witnessed something rare, unscripted, sincere, and quietly powerful. Behind the scenes, crew members removed headsets, exhaling in unison. A few shared relieved smiles. What had felt moments earlier like a fragile situation had transformed into one of the most emotionally balanced endings the show had seen in years. Willie rose from his seat slowly, adjusting his jacket as Joy stood as well. Their paths crossed near the edge of the stage. There was no rush, no hesitation, just a brief, genuine exchange. A quiet word, a nod, a shared smile that needed no explanation. From the control room, producers replayed the final seconds on monitors. Even without sound, the emotion was unmistakable. The pacing, the expressions, the way the room shifted from tension to understanding. Someone softly said, "That's going to be remembered." Within minutes, backstage buzz began to build. Phones vibrated. Messages poured in. Clips were already circulating, shared with captions filled with surprise and admiration. Viewers weren't reacting to conflict, they were reacting to authenticity. Audience members filtered out slowly, still discussing what they had seen. Some reenacted the pauses. Others talked about how calm voices had changed the entire mood. No one spoke about arguments, they spoke about presence. Willie paused at the exit, turning back once more to glance at the empty set. Joy stood a few steps away, doing the same. The lights were off now, the chairs quiet, the moment preserved only in memory, and soon, in countless replays. By the time the studio doors closed, the moment had already taken on a life of its own. Not because it was loud, not because it was shocking, but because it felt real. And long after the night ended, viewers would remember it not as a confrontation, but as a reminder. Sometimes the most powerful moments on live television happen when people choose to listen.